Friends of Dr. Ting, and we wanted to share our story with you. I'm Judy Chen.
And I'm Ray Chen.
I'm Sophia Chen. I'm 9 years old. I'm Cameron Chen and I'm 7 years old.
We were very fortunate to meet Master Ting, or Dr. Ting, last year, and we wanted to share our story on how we met him and how our family was blessed to have known him for the past year. My daughter, Sophia, was the one who introduced us to Dr. Ting. We were introduced to Dr. Ting under very stressful circumstances because Sophia was critically ill when she was 8 years old last year. It was exactly a year ago last summer. Sophia spent her whole summer in the hospital, and it was at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is the #1 hospital in America for children who are very, very sick. And our daughter was very sick. She was the sickest child in that hospital for several weeks. We were fortunate enough to meet Master Ting. I call him Master Ting because he's a Qigong master, but Dr. Ting through one of Sophia's doctors. Sophia at the time was recovering from Lyme disease, and she had a doctor who was helping her. And Sophia's illness is still unknown. The cause is still unknown. Basically, the hospital believes that she had contracted some sort of virus, but they couldn't tell what kind of virus, and she was getting very, very sick, to the point in which they didn't think that she would be able to live and survive. So at that point, her doctor had called me and said, "I know Dr. Ting, and he can potentially help you. Are you interested?" As a parent who has a child who basically was dying in my arms, of course I said yes. I didn't know what to expect. My husband didn't know what to expect. We both have advanced degrees in business. We have scientific backgrounds as well. And we really believed in medical science. And when this was offered to us, we did accept it with great gratitude, not knowing exactly how Qi was going to work and how it was going to eventually save our child. And we do believe with all our heart that she was saved by Dr. Ting. And the reason being is because Sophia's illness never had a diagnosis. She was healthy one day, went to a party, went to graduation, and went to a farm to go strawberry picking, and the next day she was so sick she could not move and was in so much pain. So without a diagnosis, medical doctors really couldn't help her. They didn't know how to treat her because there was no diagnosis. And thankfully, Dr. Ting was able to understand that Sophia's body, where the blockages were, and without me even saying what the condition was, he knew that she was unable to breathe because of the illness in her lungs. And there were other organs that were affected, but the lungs were the primary reason for why she was so sick, because she couldn't breathe. Throughout the summer, Dr. Ting helped us tremendously. We would have phone calls with him on a daily basis, and he would take a look at all of Sophia's x-rays and see where the blockage was in the lungs. Many times, Sophia was not believed to be able to survive, and the medical doctors told us that. But we kept our hope because we knew Dr. Ting was working on her qi and moving whatever the problem was out of her body. And I was the first believer in the family because as a mother, you just know when your child is in trouble and when your child is being helped. And I knew that Dr. Ting was helping Sophia. The reason why I knew is that every time I called Dr. Ting and told him what the situation was, Sophia would get a little bit better and a little bit better. And when you have the sickest child in the hospital, a little bit better is not a very significant sign. It's just something that a mother feels in her heart. And I kept that. After several days, my husband started to believe, and that took a big step because he has a very scientific mind, mathematical mind, and it was hard for him to believe in the beginning. But every time Dr. Ting worked on Sophia and moved her qi after seeing an x-ray, the x-rays got better. and the doctors didn't know why. They called her lungs necrotic, which means that they're dead. They're just dead. They cannot help her breathe anymore. But after Dr. Ting worked on Sophia, her lungs miraculously healed. So that was enough explanation for my husband. The doctors at the hospital were wondering what else was going on because they never saw a child who was that sick and be able to survive. And not only survive, but to recover so quickly and so fully. Sophia, since then, has spent half of her summer in the intensive care unit, the ICU, and half in recovery, and that was it. We took her home, we gave her healthy food, we monitored her exercise, we keep her in as healthy environments as we possibly can, and she finished the school year. She participated in every class, every play. She goes gardening, she went on a farm trip, she helped take care of cows and sheep and goats, and she gardens, and that's where she wants to be, in nature. And she was able to do all of that with her friends, and her teachers were so happy to see her return. And this is basically just a small expression of our family's gratitude to Dr. Ting, because Dr. Ting literally poured our child back to us and returned our family and gave us a whole family again. And we know that Sophia's school friends and teachers feel the same way, that the school community was able to really be whole because Sophia returned to them as well. And so when someone asks me, how does Qi work? I can't really explain it. I could just tell you that it worked, and it worked in a miraculous way, to the point in which medical doctors at the top children's hospital are amazed. In about a month, we go back for Sophia's annual checkup, and they will continue to be amazed because a little girl, 8 years old, who wasn't supposed to survive is doing so well as if nothing has happened. The truth of the matter is, yes, when Sophia gets ill, she gets sick. And we had 3 times in which there were scary moments, but she got right through that. And I think her body is stronger now because of that. Other parents have also asked me, how did you get through this? How did you have the strength to get through this? It was because of people like Dr. Ting, who supported us on a daily basis and gave us the hope and actually did the work that they know best for our daughter, and it worked. There was no way anyone can explain the before and after x-rays of Sophia's lungs that were supposed to be dead. And we have all that on record. So something did change in a positive way, and it was Dr. Ting, because he was the one we reached out to for help, and he answered it. He answered our call for help, and he did so even before we met him. This is the first day we're going to meet him, which is a year later, so that we can thank him in person. He did this without any payment at the beginning because he just heard about Sophia, and he started working on her right away because there was not enough time to do anything else but to start immediately. And it was because of the generosity of his heart and his kindness that we have our little girl. And one day she'll know the story, and one day she'll be able to thank Dr. Ting in her own way. We are grateful. Thank you. The question that was posed to me was, how did my husband and I make the decision to really believe in Dr. Ting's methods, which sometimes go against Western medicine. And when you're in intensive care and when you have a little child, the doctors there will try anything to save the little life. And they did. Sophia was on all classifications of antibiotics and every type of medicine that they can think of to give her. There were 3 nurses working with her full time. They did not stop 24/7, 24 hours a day, every day. There were 3 nurses who were in her room just for her. So there was a lot of medicine that was administered. When we gave the list of medication to Dr. Ting to just let him know what the situation was, he was able to advise us as to which ones we really should stop immediately. And that was a difficult decision because we have a team of doctors, 13 departments in the hospital telling us this is the right thing to do. And then we have Dr. Ting who said, I can help her feel better if we can just hold off on the medication and focus on this natural way of moving the qi. Now, I tell you the truth, my husband and I fought, and there wasn't a lot of time to fight. And I basically said, give me a chance so I can prove it to you. And he thankfully said yes. So I just knew that Dr. Ting was going to be able to help Sophia. As I said, in a mother's heart, you just know what is helpful to your child and when your child's in trouble. And with all the medication, she wasn't getting better. And of course, this was a critical situation, so that was only a few days of medication. And the doctor said, why don't you give it more time? And I said, she doesn't have more time. We need to try something else. So after fighting with my husband, I fought with the doctors, and I said, I refuse treatment of these medications, and here's why. I don't think the antibiotics are working. I don't think this is working, and I would like you to take them off the machines. And it took some convincing, but they did. And it was at that point that I felt that there was a turning point, that Sophia's body wasn't bombarded with all this medication. Her body was so weak already, and she had to integrate all this medication that might not even be right for her. And once we took some of those away, we didn't take all of them away, but we took some of them away, I felt that her body was able to really learn how to heal itself. And in my situation, in Sophia's situation, it was fairly easy because there was no diagnosis. No one can tell me what was wrong. They could only tell me that she stopped breathing, and her heart stopped, and her brain stopped, and everything stopped. But they couldn't tell me what was wrong. So for me, I knew that there was only Sophia who knew what was wrong, but she couldn't talk to me since she was in a coma. So I said, let me rely on the fact that her body knows what is wrong. And if Dr. Ting can move her qi, her body will know how to integrate that qi and heal itself. So that was the gamble I took. And thankfully, we were victorious with that gamble.
那这个小女孩当时来嗨，跟大家 say hi，hello，hello，
I don't have anything prepared today.
他说我今天并没有准备任何东西，就是说我带着我全家来，就是诚心诚意的感谢丁教授，从1年前一直帮助他女儿到现在。
When we met Dr. Ting a year ago, it was because my daughter was very ill. She was 8 years old, and she had gone to a school party, a school event, and we went strawberry picking on a farm. And the next morning she was in so much pain and she couldn't breathe very easily. We took her to the hospital and they thought it was pneumonia, and they gave us some antibiotics. That didn't help. A day later, she couldn't even use the bathroom and she couldn't move at all. So we went again to the hospital, and at that point, they said, we can't help you.
他说，就在1年前，他女孩子8岁，然后去参加学校的一个活动，然后到野外去采了草莓，然后可是回到家以后，他的小女孩开始觉得就是生病，然后他们就把她送到医院去，那医院以为是肺炎，然后给了她一些抗生素，可是效果并没有改善。Yeah.
Then they actually said, you can take a helicopter to Philadelphia, which is the #1 children's hospital, or you can take the ambulance. And I said, my daughter has trouble breathing. I'm not going to ping her up into the skies. Let's take the ambulance. And we got there just in time for her to be hooked up to a life support system because she was in that much distress and she wasn't breathing.
他说他女儿就是说，他到那个医院以后，那医院后来给他们的 结果是说他们给了抗生素，可是他说帮不了他们，然后他们就说你就是你请直升机或是请救护车送到费城最好的第一家的小孩子的那种医院去。
But I will mention some of the highlights.
OK， 他说他女儿在医院待了2个月，那他并不详细叙述说这2个月的过程，可他会把一些主要重点跟大家分享一下。
The doctors didn't know what was wrong with my child. They just knew that she was dying. And they gave her all sorts of medication to try to help her. And when I say the doctors, I mean all the doctors from 13 departments, 35 doctors crammed into her hospital room for the first few days every day. And then we had a family doctor who told us, I know another doctor, a different type of doctor, and you might want to work with him.
他说，他们到那医院以后有13个部门，刚开始那个气的运动呢，让他跟他先生很难去接受，也很难去相信气这个运动可以疗愈。所以，因为基本上现在社会当中，大家都是相信科学，这气的东西是没有人可以摸得到、看得到的，所以他们夫妻俩是很难去相信的。
I'll give you 3 evidence that we saw, because again, we come from scientific backgrounds and business backgrounds, and we needed evidence. The first was the doctors had said, I'm very sorry, the x-rays show that your daughter's lungs are completely necrotic, which means they're completely dead and useless, and she'll never be able to breathe with those lungs again. Dr. Ting worked on her, moved her chi, and the next set of x-rays got better and better. And today, as you can tell, she's not on any ventilation equipment. She's breathing with those same lungs that the doctors thought were completely gone and dead.
他说刚开始的时候，就是所有的医生，就是你知道进医院，就是所有的报告 ，MRI、X 光什么片都要照。然后医院里面医生告诉他说，你女儿的肺已经完全塌陷了，没有可能就是说再恢复原来可以自行呼吸的状况。可是经由丁大师的自然气的疗法，他女儿现在是活生生的、活跳跳的，可以自行呼吸，也不用任何的医疗辅助器来帮助她自己呼吸。
Because we were there for 2 months and Sophia was very sick, there were many operations. There was one that the doctors wanted to do, but they couldn't do because they didn't think she would survive the operation. Dr. Ting worked with Sophia that night, and the next night, the sonogram showed that things were healed inside and the operation was not necessary. They just assumed that they made a mistake that first time